Yo, what's good guys? Today we're going to actually be looking at some sampling tricks that you can use when you're dealing with one shots. For example purposes, I pulled up a sample I made to kind of show you guys the sampling tricks. If you guys are cool with that, make sure you hit the like button. Let's get into it. Some of the first ones are going to be super basic. A lot of people know these things, but just to catch people up to speed, when you're dealing with one shots, the first thing you want to do, rule of thumb, work at lower pitches. The higher you play these one shots is the shorter the note is going to become, and the more artifacts are going to be introduced into the sample. So for example, this one is one of the melodies in the sample, and I'm going to just pitch it up for example purposes really high basically. Just sounds really weird, right? All of those like little artifacts, because FL Studio is resampling it to a higher pitch. Me just pitching it down a few octaves is going to change the whole vibe of this. It's going to add a lot more depth to the melody, and you avoid all of those little artifacts. Next tip is working with one shots that are chords. It's actually really easy to make them sound pretty good. So I got this one shot chord here from my PARAMNESIA one shot kit, which is out now, just dropped. Make sure you go check it out. Super hard for making like dark trap melodies and ambient euphoric samples and stuff. So it's already key labeled, so it's playing a C minor 7 chord. So with that knowledge, you can just use your ears pretty much and just play chords. The little trick I do here is it's usually going to be a little bit too long for my liking, so you just use the multiplier knob here and shorten it up a little bit, keep it on resample so it pitches it up too, and then you could kind of go crazy with the chords. If you want it at the same pitch, you can just put it on auto and it'll do the same thing, but just keep the pitch the same from the original. You can literally just build on those two chords right there. If you need clarity in a beat, you need some room, it's kind of muddy, you can clean up a lot by just cutting frequencies out. There's like 3 ways to do this. In FL, there's a cut knob in here. This essentially cuts out the high frequencies just like a regular EQ. So you can either do this or do EQ. The curvature is a little different on both of them, so I would be mindful of that. They kind of EQ a little bit differently, but they're for the most part doing the same thing, getting rid of the high frequency. So, and the most notable way people like to do it is in Edison, messing with the sample rate. So you can literally just go here and you have a bunch of sample rate options. These are the ones that's given to you, but you can always go lower than 8,000 too, and that's usually where the sauce is at. When you go below this 8,000 and start messing around with like 4K 2K stuff like that, you can get some really interesting elements like that. Another type of one shot a lot of people avoid is time-based one shots. It's super easy to adjust these. All you got to do is switch the stretching mode to stretch. This is effectively going to change the one shots timing to sync up with each other. So as you can see, each one shot, no matter what pitch is playing at, it's not being re-stretched to any other tempo. It's all perfectly in sync. So if you're looking for some really interesting time-based effects, this is also in the one shot kit too. So when you're working with longer notes, or you're working with a full melody that's fully playing for like a bar or so, even if you're working at a lower pitch, you might find that it's still a little thin sounding. So to add some more depth to it, my go-to is definitely crossbeat on the halftime preset. Now the real trick is to just have this at 50% on the time knob here, so that the regular melody actually still plays and is still audible, but it introduces a lower version, a half speed version, that's going to add a lot more depth and bottom end to your melody. So next tip is sliding one shot notes. So you just have your notes here and just add these like little flicks here and there, and this adds a really cool effect to your melodies. As you can see here, we got like the simple melody going on. Towards this 4th bar here, we have like a little slide down note. This adds just little subtle melodic elements in the sample and can even play a leading role in the sample in general. And this does not just apply to regular one shots, this also applies to bass shots and stuff like that, so you can get really creative. You literally only need delay and reverb sometimes. It's really it. You can use that delay to play really simple one-shot melodies and then make it sound super complex with delay. And with the reverb, that's really just essentially cleaning up that tail end and making it much longer and a lot more dramatic. So let's set up this one shot here. Okay, one of the shorter one shots, right? This is also from the kit, has that vintage sound already, so we really don't have to do any real processing to it. Hit it to a mixer track, and let's just throw some reverb on it. Keep the decay pretty high, the mix down. So next tip is just using Portal. I think you should really use Portal for pads and longer notes, and choose presets that add like artifacts and little ear candy towards the end of the one-shot sample, if that makes sense. So I have this Chops one here from the Illusions Portal Bank, and I have it set up on these pads here. Towards the end of it, it adds these high-end artifacts, which is just a pitched up version of the chords that's already playing. So it adds just a little bit of variation. Alright, so last big tip for the video is kind of just pushing you guys to experiment more. With a lot of these samples and using one-shots and stuff, you kind of get put in sort of a box creatively to use one-shots as they're intended to, just to make melodies, you feel me? So if you want to switch that up, there's no rules. No rules to the game. Just using one-shots in weird, sort of unorthodox ways is a really cool way to accidentally make something super fire. So here I got this pluck. Has a bit of reverb on there, but because of the reverb tail, I thought of just reversing it and making chords out of it. A lot of this stuff really plays a big part in the end, even though it seems super subtle and kind of in the back of the mix at the moment. In context with the whole sample, it actually really adds a cool vibe to it. After you put like effects on and stuff, you can automate those effects, even if it's just a simple volume automation. I have some of these accents set up here from the one-shot kit. Like that is so like far back in the mix you could barely hear it. It's more of a felt than heard type of thing. And even just reversing really good one shots like accents and stuff, they're like intended to be ear candy. Reversing those has a really good effect. Like I have this accent for my one shot kit as well. Already super hard, but if I reverse it, that's a hard ass texture. I'm just saying, it's really just about not overthinking it and trying what you want to try out with the one shots. Just keep the fundamentals in mind. Like I said in the first part of the video, after you get the basics down with one shots, you can go crazy, man. You can make some of the hardest melodies, and now you can make the hardest melodies with my one shot kit. Yeah, you know I was gonna do it. You know I was gonna do it. Now that we're at the end of the video, I do want to tell y'all about my one shot kit. It's super hard just for like making really gritty samples. I have a bunch of these in here. We're gonna go ahead and preview some of these real quick. So yeah, we got the accents too. Look, if we drag this in, we set it to cut itself, and then we just pitch it up just a little bit. That is a whole sample right there. And finally, you know it ain't a one shot kit without some fire textures. Hey, if you end up picking up the kit, I appreciate you. Use code ZENS22 at checkout for 10% off. And yeah, I know you guys probably want to hear the final sample, so I'm gonna play it right after this outro. So hopefully you guys did enjoy. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe for more TPG videos. And yeah, that's about it. Appreciate y'all. Catch y'all in the next video. Peace.